Hello, my name is Whitney. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I usually record with a snipping tool, and it didn't record my voice while I was making this video on how I would catch a trade using the CRT method on the 9 a.m. candle New York time. So I'm going to be explaining it over again. So from the video, we can detect this is the 1 hour time frame, and the candles here are still forming. So if you can see my cast, that's amazing. Switching on the 4 hour candle, we have this red candle, the lowest tip of that candle. Let me mark it out using my, okay, that is the lowest part. This green candle went below it and closed above it. So what are we expecting? We're expecting for buys to up somewhere there. That is how the CRT normally works. You go on the higher time frame, you spot a red candle, big red candle. If a green candle forms next and closes above it, then you're expecting for buys up to the toppest part of this red candle, and vice versa for a green candle. So coming to check in later, it had already bought and went up so fast, and it rallied up as we expected. So zooming in or zooming out on the lower time frame, this is how it looked like, and I had already marked my 9 a.m. candle. From this area to this area, in the 1 hour candle, that will be one candle, but then this is the 1 minute candle, so we have 60 candles in this range. That is how candle works. So whatever I was expecting is for the price to either close above this zone or close below this zone. No, close below this area, because this is the lowest part of the 9 a.m. candle. So I was redirecting the line, or rather fixing the line to the lowest part of the 9 a.m. candle. So if I saw price moving above this high, I would expect to close below it, do some little retestment, and go further down. And if the price was to go below this zone, this low, I was expecting for it to come above, retest a little bit, then rally up. That was my expectation at the time. So zooming out on the 4 hour time frame, it was really rallying up as we anticipated earlier, as we anticipated even before this candle was forming, and that's something amazing. Finally, I can get to know where price is moving at certain points. So we waited for formation, and I set my alarm because I was doing something else on my laptop. That's how I set my alarm, from somewhere up here. If it crosses up here, it would send me an alarm attention, and if it closes down here, it would send me alarm attention. That's how I set my alarm. If it crosses above, it tells me attention. If it crosses below, it would tell me attention. So after a long time of waiting and coming back to the charts, it was still making some move. It was still moving, and it was always rejecting that zone up there. It was always rejecting my what is it? It was always rejecting my alarm up there. So time went by, it also rejected it again. It rejected that alarm up there again. Then out of nowhere, we had a very drastic move. And looking at the Forex Factory, apparently there were news going on. That is why we had this huge move down. It all makes sense. So what I would expect is for price to go up. What I was expecting personally was for price to go up I'm marking this zone. I was thinking about this zone. If price returns to this order block down here, price goes up, then comes back to this zone, I would anticipate for buys. That was what I was expecting.
Attention.
That was my alarm. Attention. Yeah. So this was the move this whole week, the news that was going on. So from CRT, you wait for the candle to go to close below this time zone, close below it, retest a little bit, then come back to this zone, then you buy off. If it would have gone to this side, swept this liquidity up, if it, I was zooming out to see the liquidity that was swept. This was the first liquidity below, so it was swept with a little bit of points, then rallied up. Yeah, and there I was expecting from this order block we would get buys. If you draw another block from this zone to this end, price would react from it and go up. This is my long position. That was what I was expecting. This is a market that has already played out on the trading view. I left the markets because of this news, but then if you check my video, this is what I was expecting. That is what I was expecting. And come to think of it, here is where my, let me take my long position. Here is where my long position would have been at. Let me minimize that. Closing below that. Going up to this zone. 9 a.m. candle. Wait for the price to sweep either of the liquidity from down below here, got swept, retested, went up, retested a little bit to some degree of where the 9 a.m. low was at, then retested up. This from my phone would have been a trade of mm, trade of 100 and something USD.